Greetings, everyone. I'm Tawnya Love, and welcome to today's live Tawnya Love show. I hope everyone's having a beautiful and blessed day today, and that you've had an amazing week since we connected last. I wanted to tell you, Amnon just was telling me there's a new show they started on Fridays, and it's a veterinarian that gives advice and tips that are completely natural. So any of you that are watching that are, really into taking care of your furry friends, tune in on Fridays at, what'd you say, 7 p.m., Amnon?
7 to 7:30.
7 to 7:30. And what's the show called?
7 to 7:30 Eastern. It's Your Healthy Pet.
Your Healthy Pet. So sounds like an amazing show to tune into, because I know a lot of us are looking for more healthy ways to take care of our furry friends, and we don't want to hurt them. So she's got some good tips on there for taking care of your babies. So just wanted to let you all know that. Today, this Saturday, I was kind of like, well, what am I going to be talking about, Source? Because I didn't have, a lot of times about midweek, I'll get kind of a feeling of a topic, or just life will show me something to let me know what we're going to discuss. And Saturday, I had not felt anything yet. So I was asking very consciously on my walk to bring in the topic. And Sunday morning when I woke up, I felt Archangel Michael's presence with me, and the sentence that just streamed into my consciousness was raising aligned and responsible children. And so I knew right then, okay, that's what we're going to talk about. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I encourage any of you that are listening that are parents, you are a child. We've all been children at some point, so we have a perspective on this no matter what our age is. And then also adults that just are caregivers of children, teenagers, teachers, and educators. I really encourage you to write in today and share your perspective, share your questions, your comments, and things that are working for you. Especially, I'm very much solution focused, so it's okay if you want to talk about something that's off. That's great. But let's make sure our focus is always on solution. And so I really encourage you to write in if some of you have experiences or advice and tips of things that have really helped work for your children and helped you as parents to lead as more powerful leaders. I encourage you to write in and share that, because the show is for you. I'm here talking and bringing you channeled information, but I really would love for you guys to be more interactive and to share amongst each other and to explain what you're feeling and have this as a place where you can be heard and have your voice heard. So I'll open that up for you, and Amnon will tune in and let me know later if there's anybody writing in with questions or comments. And first thing I'd like to ask is for you to tune in and just feel right away, what do you feel when I say raising an aligned and responsible child? Like taking that child, and how do you lead them into alignment to become a future leader, and to teach them from integrity and teach them to be in their power and to be responsible? What is it that you feel that means? And I would love to just put that question out there, and then you guys can write in. And then we're going to go into that. And I'm going to use a little bit of my own experience, because I am a mother. I've been a child, and so I have some feedback here, and I'm a teacher, and I've worked with children. And first thing that I'm feeling when that topic came to me was things I've been going through as a mother lately, where I've been tested with my teenage son especially, in how do I best encourage this child who is at this cusp of becoming a young man. He's at that age where it's like you're still a kid, but you want to be an adult. You really don't want people doing stuff for you, but you still really need mom to get you out of messes. And so it's an interesting time for the children and for the parents, where we're really empowering them and helping them so that they can fly. I feel like when we're aligned adults, our highest priority is to help our children to come to a place where they can really take care of themselves, and where we can help teach them how to fish, and they can go fish for themselves. When we're in our power and we're living and raising our children in alignment and integrity, we're mirroring that to them, and we're helping show the way. We're being leaders for them and encouraging them. But we also need to step back sometimes and let them have space to figure their stuff out. if they make a mess, sometimes the more aligned way to handle that is to not rush in and clean up their mess. And this is what I want to talk about today, because I feel like when I've observed adults with children that are really in hell, and I would just refer to hell meaning everything's chaotic, it's stressful, it's tense, there's no respect. There's these times where we're in that space and we're really letting those children walk all over us. And then I've observed adults who seem to be very good at explaining things to their children and getting them to show respect and really take accountability. And so, let's discuss today the difference in the two. And if you're in a place where you feel like you're struggling with your child, you're struggling to get them to really respect you or to take you serious, write in and tell me what's going on. Like, explain to us what's going on in your situation and where your frustrations are. Where do you feel that things are out of balance or out of alignment? And what is it that you would like to change about that? What is it you would like to do to shift that experience? A lot of times our angels will come in and help us with relationships. And one of the archangels that came to me recently that wants to be presented to each of you so that you will tune in and talk to this angel is Archangel Raguel. And Archangel Raguel is an angel that will assist us with our relationships and just help us with bringing greater harmony and peace, and so that we can communicate, we can be heard, and we can hear each other. And so I encourage you, if you aren't familiar with this angel, just to tune in to this angel's essence, connect with this angel, and thank them for the guidance and thank them for helping you focus on the solution. Because a lot of times, if we're not in alignment, then we're looking at problems, and then we basically just start to cater and enable problems. We react to the problems, and we basically are co-creating more problems. And one of the things as a parent I feel that we have to really watch is that we don't get caught up in our children's stuff and lose our own alignment. Sometimes really well-meaning parents, I feel like there's a lot of good people out there that they intend well and they want to help their children, but they do exactly the opposite of what the aligned thing to do would be. And that's where I'll give you some examples. Like, say your child is, got a bad day, they're having a bad day and they're really grumpy, and you're trying to make them not grumpy. And so you're just like, well, what can I do to make you feel better? Like, how about I do this? How about I take you out for ice cream? How about I take you to the store? I'll get you a toy. I'll do this. And in your heart, you may think, you know what, I want to help this person feel better. What can I do to help them feel better? And then you start to look externally and what you can do to give them to make them feel better. And right away, what you're really teaching them is to basically, if you want something, go into this lower vibration, and then I'm going to cater to that, and I'm going to give you things. And one day, when this has been done for several times and the child starts to learn this habit, then you're frustrated because you're like, you're always acting like you're all depressed, and then you want something from me. And then we set ourselves up and we have tension with our children, or it could be our lover, our beloved. It doesn't matter who it is. And what happens is you start to kind of set yourself up for this. You're one day trying to earn their love and get them to feel better. You're trying to make them change their energy. And then you end up having to kind of pay a consequence for it. Say that I've seen moms at the store. I've been one of these moms. When my children were younger, we're at the store throwing a huge tantrum. They're really grumpy, they're tired, and then they're throwing a tantrum because they are trying to figure out what to do about this energy that they don't know how to control. And you're just like trying to quiet them down. And I'll see parents like, oh, here, give them a sucker. Oh, here, I'll get you this toy, just be quiet. And you're going to create a future monster, basically. And so what I would encourage you to do is to really tune in at those moments where you feel like you want to give when it's out of alignment. And you can tell because it doesn't feel good. Anytime, if you're a parent and your teenage son wants to borrow the car and they're kind of coming in and bullying you about it and they want the keys now and they're throwing kind of a tension energy and they're trying to make you feel guilty, and then you're like, okay, fine, just take the keys. And then they leave and you're like, oh, I just feel bad. I feel like I just got taken advantage of and I feel frustration. And then there's a consequence. And later you have to be involved in that consequence because you gave them the keys. Now they wrecked the car. These are just an example. But when this stuff's happening, what we can do is we can pause and we can tune in, take a deep breath, and really feel our alignment. Really feel, what do I feel right now about the situation? I personally feel so much on our planet would get resolved quickly and would shift if each of us had a daily habit of just taking a breath and pausing before we make decisions. Like really connect with breath, really slow down and feel out your feelings on what's going on before reacting. Because a lot of times when we're caught up in fear or tension, we're stressed, we make the worst decisions because we're reacting from fear. We're coming from a place of lack, from fear, and then we create more problem. So in this situation I gave you with the children, like the child throwing a tantrum, and I think pretty much every parent on the planet has experienced this before, where you're at a store, kids throwing a tantrum, they want the candy, they want the toy, and then what do? And so I feel if we could tune in, take a breath, and observe that child, observe their frustration, they're tired, and talk to them. Talk to them about how to connect with their energy, connect with how they're feeling. I know that you're feeling frustrated right now. I can sense your frustration, but why don't you calm your voice and talk to me in a more respectful voice? And so right then you're calming their energy, you're encouraging them to tune into their energy, to tune into what's going on vibrationally in them, and you're encouraging communication, because a lot of times when we're throwing a tantrum, we're really desperate to get something and we're not communicating very efficiently. So in this time, you could encourage that, and then if they continue to throw the tantrum, from my perspective of alignment, the worst possible thing you can do at this point is give them what they want. Because, like I said, if you want to create a future monster, a future bully, basically give it to them then, because that is exactly what they'll become. And I've observed this. There's times as a mother where I held my ground and I was really proud of myself, and it took a lot to do that. And there was times where I catered and I enabled, and later saw the consequence of that and was like, shit, it was frustrating. And I really saw that I participated. And so my intention today with this show is to help each of you that are listening as children and as parents. And really, if we can look at that relationship, like parent-child relationship, what is that? Like, what is the ultimate outcome that we want from this relationship? Do we want connection, or do we want tension all the time? If we're focusing constantly on problems, we're going to have tension, we're going to have problems. If we're focused on love and if we're focused on connection, we will cultivate greater love and connection regardless of the situation. We really need to check in with, where am I putting my focus right now? As a child, am I focused on just the problems, or am I focused on the love here? And if I am focused on the love, that means love for the wholeness, not just love for the other. It means self-love as well. If I'm in my power and I'm in alignment, I can speak my truth with love and light, and I can share love, and I can look for the love. But if another's withholding that and they are disrespectful, or they're not showing respect and love in some way, I can speak truth on that, and then I can choose whether or not I'm going to interact with them at that time. And this goes on for the rest of our lives. I feel when we're young, a lot of times when we're around adults who are out of alignment, what happens is they have trained and programmed us and conditioned humans to feel like they have to put up with certain things because you're the child or the parent. And it's really not true. It's, if we go back maybe almost 4 or 5 months ago when we started the show, and Source was channeling to be mindful that we're not attached to others through role and title. Do not be attached because of role and title. Source really was being clear. It wasn't saying do not be attached if it's your boss or if it's your boyfriend, but if it's your child, be attached. Source message is do not be attached to role and title. It creates great suffering. So if I have an attachment to child and child is out of alignment, and I keep feeling that I need to do something to make that relationship better, and it's coming from a place of guilt and attachment, I will actually be creating more chaos. I will be catering and enabling that issue to continue and perpetuate. If I allow that child to have the space they need to go calm down, whether it's a 3-year-old or a 20-year-old, there'll be different ways we allow that space. But for a 3-year-old, go ahead and go to your room and you can go ahead and yell and you can have your time to express your feelings. And when you calm down, we can talk. When you can talk to me with respect, we will talk. And if you teach those children this very young, they're going to grow up to learn how to communicate. They're going to grow up to be very empathic and have a lot of empathy and feelings and really understand their feelings instead of being shut down where the adults that kind of tell their kids to be quiet and just stop crying, just be quiet, suck it up. That's really not helping them because that's going to create a future child that's just holding all their emotions in and they're going to blow randomly. They'll probably end up being a future a personality that will be very passive aggressive. They'll hold their stuff in and then it's going to explode out on random people. And that's really not a healthy thing that we're enabling. So if we look at our role as parents, it's really to help these children have a great chance to thrive on this planet so that their journey, one day, whether we're there or not, they know how to feel connected to source. They know how to survive and how to thrive instead of feel like they're nothing, feel like they don't know their own emotions. They can't express them. They have to shut them down because they're being a bad boy. Like, don't cry, you're a baby. I cannot tell you how many adult men I have helped in healing sessions that inner child woundedness would come up. And so many of them never were really given permission to feel their emotions, to really express those emotions in a healthy way. And we wonder why there's so many issues in our culture, why there's so much problems with addictions, and why there's so much problems with violence and all this depression on the planet. And I feel like it's all connected. And if we now wake up and get our power and take our power back, and as adults, if we're raising children, our ultimate priority is to keep ourselves in alignment. That is really the highest priority for an adult to focus on while raising children. It is not to let yourself go and to do everything for your children. That is out of alignment. You're basically teaching your children to be future martyrs, and you're basically teaching them what that heavy vibration feels like every day. You're putting them around that vibration, and it creates depression. It will enable them to be more likely to choose that path than if you were to take care of yourself and love yourself. And that may seem selfish because a lot of times society tells us we're selfish if we actually do what feels right to us. I disagree. I feel the highest priority is to listen to what feels right to us and to honor that. And then we teach our children that. We teach our children to really listen and to trust what their heart's guiding them to be and to do. And that is going to bring joy. When we honor ourselves, we are on the path of bliss. When we dishonor ourselves, we go into depression. And when we see, like, take a mother or a father that's in depression, they're around their children in that depressed energy and they're not connecting, they're not available emotionally, and they're angry, they're frustrated because they're not living their dream, they're not living out their purpose, their life mission. And so often they'll either live vicariously through their children, they'll really push their kids into directions to live things out for them, or they will just not connect with their children, they won't be emotionally available, and then the children are kind of on their own. And a lot of times these wounded adults will often, my sister was going to counseling once and she said that the counselor referred to it as parentifying a child, which seems like a perfect word to me. And what happens is if you have a wounded adult that's not in their power, they will put their energy on their child and they want the child to rescue them. They want the child to be there for them. I actually lived growing up with a mother like this that was very, she was diagnosed with a lot of things growing up, like from being bipolar to having different mental things going on. And she suffered from depression. She wasn't really emotionally available for any of us because everything was about her. Everything was about her wounds, her pain. She had a huge medical chart, hypochondriac, constantly at the doctor because something must be wrong. And though I could observe her with love and have compassion for her woundedness and see that there was definitely woundedness there, as a child in that experience wasn't very good for emotional support. There was no emotional support. And to this day, there's no emotional support. And that doesn't have to be that way. But the only way we can change this is if we are in a position where we have power and we're raising children, or maybe we don't even have children yet, but we want to someday, the most important thing is to heal self, to really heal yourself, to do the work that you need to do to heal all the childhood woundedness so that you can show up and be present for whatever it is you're creating. And I feel that that's what we really do owe our children. And if you're not emotionally available for that, if you're not emotionally balanced and you don't really feel that you can handle that, maybe really reconsider having children. And that isn't trying to be mean and think, oh, like, who's Tawnya to say who should have children? I'm just saying it from a healer's perspective, is if you're not really in a place of wholeness for yourself, and then you have children that now are relying on you, you're really setting them up. And it's never too late to fix that. It's never too late to find solution. So even if we're a 40-year-old and we have 20-year-olds, we can still find solution and we can still do our best to shift that experience and that relationship if we're ready and if we're willing to. Some of us will make excuses. Sometimes I've witnessed like older family members in my family who they've been out of alignment for so long. And it's like the grandma thing. Oh, grandma, you gotta love her. She's never gonna change. Like, that's just grandma. And this is BS. Like, this, basically, we have, as humans, we've created these expectations of family members. And again, it comes to attachment to role and title, where we make excuses for who should actually be in alignment and who doesn't need to because they're just the way they are. And I feel the truth is, we should shine the light and challenge any who are out of alignment, but hold a space of love the whole time. So if I can be around maybe a wounded grandmother energy and I can love her, but I can also see how manipulative she is, and I can see how much she controls the entire family and how everyone's afraid to actually speak their truth around her. And so it's the best thing we can do is to challenge that if we really love that person, we want to help them. However, it may not always go the way you think. It may not end up that you're the most popular person. They may not want to hear that message from you, be it true or not, but you're still helping to bring the light instead of enabling. And for my soul personally, I would rather speak truth and shine light and be authentic and have integrity than to be a person that's cowering back and cannot speak my truth and I'm just uncomfortable and feel like I have no power in the situation. And it has changed my life personally. So those of you listening that may feel inspired to stand your ground and speak your truth, I won't lie to you. There can be a consequence to that. I have definitely had people leave my life and not put much effort into connecting when I spoke truth. And when I was just catering to them and feeding them what they wanted to hear when I was younger and I felt more insecure and what do I have to do to get their love, they let me be around because they took stuff from me energetically. And so I want to tune in to each of you listening and see if you want to share any feedback right now of where do you feel you're at vibrationally? Do you feel you're really living in your power and in your alignment? Do you feel as a parent you feel capable and powerful? Do you feel like an alpha leader? Or do you feel like the kids walk all over you? Do you feel like you're not heard in that family, that you have no power? You feel insecure and you're just stressed, and so you're just kind of going through the motions? I'm going to pause for a second and just write in anything you want to share, and then I'm going to see what Amnon has to say. Anything coming in?
Yeah. Victoria is saying, there seemed to be an epidemic of parents not communicating with their children. They stick them in front of some electronic device to keep them entertained. Therefore, many children don't know how to interact appropriately.
I completely agree with you on that, Victoria. And yes, I do feel it's actually, we may, like some of us that are observing it, we're seeing that there's an issue already. But I feel like it's going to get worse as it goes. If it isn't addressed and there's not a balance to it, I feel like it will ultimately create a generation of very disconnected souls that are very lost and they're very disconnected and distracted by electronics. And it's not really helping them to interact and connect. They're not really having real relationships around them because they're just having virtual ones that are in their computer or make-believe relationships. And I've completely observed that myself. And it's interesting because I feel like what's happened, the children I've observed this with are children that were really neglected for a long time. Often they have two parents that work, or maybe they have a parent that works and another one that's just not emotionally available, like the depressed parent energy. And so they maybe from young age were given, here, get on your iPad, here, go and play with your Game Boy. Here, let me turn on a movie and just get out of my hair because I can't handle you. And this is what I'm talking about when if we're not really feeling in our power to give and to be there for children, we really should think twice before having them. And the sad thing is I've observed humans that will just literally, I've heard and witnessed with my own ears, people like, oh, we got to have another baby so we don't lose our food stamps. I had a friend once, and we're not really in each other's life at this point, but I witnessed her saying this and her mom nudging her to get another baby so they wouldn't lose food stamps. And I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? But this is the thing, is if we're not really conscious and we're not tuning into like, why are we having children? If we're having them to be feeding off a system for free, or we're having them to get sympathy, or we're
Uh-oh. Hold on, everybody.
Am I back, Amnon?
You're back now.
Okay, that was interesting. Okay, so apologize for that, guys. A little internet glitch or something. The internet dropped us. But basically, back to that point is if we're being more conscious with our choices across the board, all of us as humans are at a place where it's actually really important that we are very conscious of our creations, conscious of what it is we're choosing and what we're creating. We will really either help find the solution, or we will keep enabling and creating the problem. And so things that I'm talking about today with the parenting and just like choices of even why we have children, that's going to be something that's pretty important for the rest of your life. Like I would say one of the things I joke about, and my friends, you know, they know that I didn't have the greatest first marriage, and but I learned so much. And so I feel so grateful for all that I learned. And there was beauty. There was some beautiful times in that relationship, and then there was a lot of darkness. But one of the things I said to my friends is, in this lifetime, one of the most important lessons I've learned as far as with parenting is to be very careful who you have babies with. And I really mean that. And I feel like more humans should be mindful of who they are connecting with and why. Like a lot of young people that may be listening, if you're in your 20s or your teenage years and you're looking for love externally because you don't feel you're enough, you don't feel like, you know, maybe you're good enough, or you don't feel like you're getting the love you need, and so you're looking for that externally, a lot of times that's when these younger kids will have a baby and they're not in the place to have a baby and to actually give to a child. they're actually in a place where they're looking to get love. And these are a lot of times the parents, like the mother, and I love my mother, but I'm just going to speak truthfully with you on that experience where my mother was, she got pregnant at 17 with me, and she wasn't ready for a baby. She was freaked out by that. And so there's a consequence in how she raised me the rest of my life and how she felt about that experience. I was also a participant in that experience. And so some of us, we can look at that and just go, oh, you know, that's just the way it is. But we could learn from this stuff, and we could really start to choose from a place of self-love. And I feel that the teenagers that go in that direction, they're not being shown love, and they're not having the connection from their parents in a healthy way. And that's why they go there. And so it comes back to us as parents. We can just be mad at children for the choices they're making. But really, we as parents also need to stay in our power and help these children. And yes, there may be things that they're going to choose to do that are out of alignment. And I have a 17-year-old, I have a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 20-year-old. And I am not in control of their life at certain places, but I definitely am in my power as a parent in how I talk to them and how I connect with them. But they're still going to make their choices. I've learned now, however, that I will choose to either assist them and help them if it feels in alignment, or I will not. And that's something that's a new experience. Like for my son, him moving back in with me after he lived with me with his dad, with my ex-husband. And in that relationship, there was no honor or respect towards me as the mother. And so I really struggled to feel like I could be in my power in that relationship. And that was one of the lessons. And when I left that relationship, I changed and I was in my power, and I felt I would not let someone bully me anymore. I was done with abuse in all forms. And so you take this child who's been around that for 15 years and then comes back in with mom. Mom's not the same person, so there's a little tension at first, like we're trying to figure each other out. But we're doing really well now. And my son, I really will challenge him. If I, like the other day, I caught him. He was, first of all, kids that are listening, just really know that you're not sneaky. Like, you're not as sneaky as you think you are. My son, like, walked out of the garage, and then I see him running down into the forest and looking back to see if anyone's watching. And I'm right there by the door working out. And I was just like, what is he doing? I have asked him so many times over the last few weeks if he had been smoking, because I have damn good intuition, and I just, like, knew he was. And he's like, no, I promise. Well, I saw him go down the forest. So some parents would just see that and they're like, oh God, I know they're doing something. I don't want to know. And they will just go into like, put the blinders on. I don't want to know. Or you go in there, and I know like with my ex-husband, there was like degrading and shaming and anger. And there, it doesn't need to be either of those extremes. We could actually go there and show up with presence. And that's exactly what I chose to do. I walked down, followed him into the woods, and I was like, hey, what are you doing down here? And he turned around like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I didn't know mom was there. And I just was like, you know what? We're at a place where it's really going to be important for you to speak truth to me. And I know what you're up to, but it would be nice if we could just speak truthfully about it, because then I can be there for you and I can support you and I can help you. But if you're lying to me, that is going to be what will destroy this relationship, is the lying and the deception. If you just will be straight with me and we can talk and connect on this, we can actually heal whatever's going on. And my son really like listened to that, and he opened up and shared the truth that he was down there smoking. He told me he smokes a couple times a day and that he just is afraid he's going to get caught. And so he was sneaking, and it just helps him to relax. We talked a lot about that. Like, what is it that you feel it's doing that helps you relax? And we talked about other solutions, other opportunities where, you know, he has a mother that teaches meditation and that offers him assistance with meditation anytime, and he resists it. And I just tuned in and talked to him about that. You know, I'm right here. I could help you, but you're sneaking away. And I know that must not feel good to you. And so we just talked about it, and he shared his feelings. The reason I say that is that I feel most of us, when we have teenagers, especially at that age, they're going to sneak to do things. Part of them, they're trying to find their independence. They're trying to figure out their way. But at the same time, as a parent, I feel my ultimate responsibility to my son is to help encourage him to be a man of integrity and to speak his truth and to be in his power. And sneaking around and lying and doing things that are harmful to his body, because he thinks he needs to sneak is not really ultimate alignment. And so I may not be able to make him stop because that's not my way. I'm not going to go and control him and beat him up or something to get him to do what I think. And some parents will think that's okay. But I do feel it's good to communicate and to tell them you know what's going on and you're not a fool and that you want to help them, but you also want to teach them how to fish. You want to teach them how to take care of themselves. So I feel like it's really important to mirror this to our children. And back to Victoria's statement about the electronics things, I feel like we got to stop pushing them to these places to be babysat because we don't want to deal with their stuff. We need to, when that kid's throwing a tantrum, we need to tune in and go, what is going on? You know, what are you feeling? What do you want to say to me? Let's find your words here. Let's go for a walk and calm down. And you want to help them to get tuned into their emotions. If we're pushing them in front of TVs and electronics, we are not helping them to really feel their stuff. And most of the time, what they're tuning into is not even healthy. And I've caught my kids tuning into things on the internet where I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, let's talk about this. And I know children are going to be sneaky. Like, kids are going to try to do their thing. They're going to try to get away with a lot of stuff. So if you're a parent, just know that. And it's really important that you tune into your intuition. When you're sensing something's off, that you tune in and you go talk to your kids right away. And don't bully them and don't try to make them feel bad or shame them, but just tune in and let them know that you're there and that you actually know what's going on and that you would love for them to talk to you when they're ready. And I feel that it may be a patience thing because there's times where I've done that and it takes a few months before that kid really comes and finds like, okay, mom, I'm going to just tell you. And then they open up and they'll tell you all kinds of stuff and really listen because they are wanting to share that stuff with you. And it's important that we tune in. So I'm going to pause. Any feedback coming in from that so far?
Yeah, and Victoria is adding there, and just like you said, there are many parents that haven't grown up themselves. So of
Yes.
course they can't provide much guidance because they're so self-involved or overwhelmed. And so
Yeah.
many children aren't given the opportunity to go outside and play, explore, and problem solve. So they don't
Yes.
develop their imagination and learn how to problem solve. Yeah.
I totally agree. Anything else?
I have a question. So
Okay.
let me play devil's advocate a little bit. So
Okay.
we always try to have our children do better than we did. And we always try to give them more than what we did. We
Then
didn't
we
have
have.
it, and you should have it.
Yeah.
A lot of parents sent their kids to better school, even private schools, even though they can't really afford to, because
Yep.
they know they'll get better education. But what happens is the majority of the kids over there in that school are going to be ones that have everything. So how do you balance it and tell the kid, no, you can't have that when they come back and they say, well, everybody else does?
Exactly. Well, and I think if you're wanting to teach them really how to connect with the universe and the laws of attraction is you teach them to know what they want and to honor that. And how do you feel like you could put that out there and just, thank the universe for taking care of the details and let's focus on that together. So you kind of come with them vibrationally with a focus of manifesting whatever that desire is, but you encourage them to let that happen from them. You don't feel like you have to give it all to them. I feel like if you feel like a heartfelt, I want to give this to my child, go for it because that's alignment. You are feeling inspiration strike you and it's inspiring a loving act of kindness. That is alignment. Go for it. But if that child's coming and they're guilt tripping you and they're like, oh, but they have it and Johnny's got the new shoes and she's got the newest whatever, that's coming from misalignment, then the worst thing you can do is give it to them when you know you don't even have it to give. And this is a big part of when we're in alignment ourselves, we know that we give from a place of having. We don't give from a place of not having. It's back to that place where you can't really overflow and give out what you don't have. So when we're in a place of guilt or we feel shame because, oh, those people are wealthy and their kids can have everything and I feel guilty because I can't give my kid all that stuff, I would say guilt is a very terrible energy. Guilt causes us to do the dumbest things. And we need to tune into that no matter what, whether we have children or not. Tune into, am I giving from heartfelt love and a feeling of giving, or am I giving from guilt? And this is even, we can look at this, how this affects the planet in other ways. Like, you can look at the homeless situation. I see people that I have pretty good intuition, so it's hard for people to fool me. And I can feel when someone's genuinely in a hard spot, and I just am like feeling compassion to give them food, and I will listen and I'll go do that. But I have stopped just handing over cash to people. And when I was younger, I used to give cash to a lot of homeless people, and I would feel guilty. I'd feel like I felt bad for them, and like, oh, I've got money and I should give it to them. And they kind of gave me an energy of to feel guilty for them. Like, look what you have, and look, I need something. And it never felt good. And that's what I'm wanting to help you to tune into. I feel like that's what the angels are wanting to help each of us to really learn discernment and to tune in vibrationally. How does this feel? If I'm giving to this person right now, does it feel in alignment? Or do I feel kind of like I'm being manipulated and like I feel guilt for something? So now I feel like I have to give from guilt. Giving from guilt will never help solve anything. If we look at just like a homeless situation, like you have a homeless person and they're not in their alignment and they're deceiving people and they're trying to get money. This just happened the other day. We were at the gas station, and my beloved, my fiance, gets out of his car. He's putting his gas in, and this guy comes over and he's, oh man, and I've heard it so many times. So it almost makes me laugh because I can tell how they're just full of crap. And I have so much compassion for people, but I also have awareness. And I feel like wisdom is to balance the two. Have compassion, balance it with awareness. Don't be like the Dalai Lama says and have idiot compassion where you're just giving everything at the cost of yourself. This is not balance. It's not alignment. And so my fiance gets out of the car and he's pumping his gas, and this guy comes up and he's just like, oh man, I just need a couple more dollars and then I can catch the bus home. Like, I'm just a couple dollars short. And my beloved is such a sweetheart, and I love him, but he often is suckered by these people. And so I could feel him like, oh, and I could tell in his energy that he did not really want to give that money. He just was like, oh, how do I just get rid of this guy? And he felt kind of bad, so he gives him a couple dollars. And then he gets in the car, and I'm tuning into him. And then we hear the guy who just had told Ron, oh, thanks, man. All I needed was a couple bucks. You just saved me. Now I can get home tonight. Thank you. And then he walks away, and we hear him go to the next car and say the exact same thing. And Ron gets in the car, and I was just like, baby, like, did you just hear that? And he's like, I did. And he's like, it's cool. It's just a couple bucks. And I'm like, I understand that. But at the same time, you're enabling this. You're enabling him to stay on the streets and to go around and harass people. And is that really helping that soul to get more powerful and to really learn a lesson? Or if we just do that, it's just a couple bucks, is it just a couple bucks over and over and over and over that day that guy's going to get? And then go home and just be like, dude, this is awesome. I don't have to work. I don't have to give to society. I don't have to contribute in any way because people are just given to me. I've suffered them. So it's like, I feel like we can tune in and really learn a discernment on everything and how we give to our children, how we give to strangers. It should come from authentic place of giving and not from guilt or I don't have and so I have to give. Does that answer that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. What is your feedback on that, Amnon? Your feelings?
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, but I think it's easier said than done in many cases.
That's true. It takes great awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Victoria again saying many have everything but what they really need. So they don't have what but I mean, would that cause the kid to close, to get kind of closed in and to stay away from friends and stuff because they feel like they don't have what the other ones have? I'm just trying to find the balance.
Yes. Well, and I feel like first of all we can do is to lead and guide our children. We don't really own them, and they're their own individual soul. So first thing is when a child comes in, if you know that takes a lot of pressure off because children will come in, souls will come in with great awareness, very connected, very responsible, very appreciative, and then souls that can come in very wounded, very depressed, has a lot of pain body. And so depending on the kind of child you're dealing with, you're going to have that energy going on at their soul level. But as an adult that's in alignment, you're there. Your job, I feel, is to educate and to guide them in alignment. So if they're throwing a tantrum about not having this and they're like, oh, I can't even go to school, they're just not going to accept me. I feel like there's a balance to, you can get them nice things in a way you can afford to get it for them, and you can teach them to get nice things for themselves. My parents we were never really wealthy. Like, as far as I was shown, we were poor. We heard it all the time. We don't have enough. We don't have enough. And we shopped at thrift stores and things like that growing up as a kid. That was like normal. But my parents would be like, you know what? There's not enough. I can't get that for you, Tawnya. I mean, what do you think? Money grows on trees. I've heard it all. Mm-hmm. And I, as a kid, hearing that, what it did for my soul is it inspired and it sparked up the entrepreneurial soul that I have. And I was like, you know what? Okay, they're not going to give it to me. So I got creative. I started using my imagination. How can I get this money? What is it that I'm good at? I'm going to babysit. I'm going to put flyers out. I started babysitting a lot. I started making a lot of money, and I would tuck it aside. And I wanted to go to college. No one in my family had gone to college. And I was like, I'm going to damn college. And I knew that none of my family were going to pay my way. I knew it because it wasn't valued by them. They were like, college. And that's fine. But I knew I wanted to go. And so really what it did is it showed me very young, these people aren't going to give me what I want. So I connected with Source on that. And I never called it Source back then. I did talk to my angels as a child, and I would just talk to them like, I really want to do this. Help me out. And I would like to babysit, bring me jobs. And I got them, and I paid my own way to go to college. And I was in an abusive family, abused from age 4 to 18. Last time my mom abused me was 18 years old, and that's when I went and told my dad, I need a plane ticket to Grandma's. I got to get out of here. And he helped me with that ticket, and I didn't live there ever again. And it was like I could have been just given everything. And I've seen kids that they're given everything and they're not really getting what they need either. So we could have the two spectrums. We could have the very wealthy family that gives their kid everything, but not connection, not respect, not love. Or you could have the poor family that's like, we're not going to give you what you need either, and we're not going to give you love or respect. And really, each soul's got its own journey. I learned so much from that journey, and I feel like it's made me the woman I am today. So I'm not going to insult that journey. However, I do feel that when I went through it myself, it's kind of like if I'm a freshman in high school and I get bullied by seniors, I'm sure as hell not going to do that to people when I'm a senior. I've learned like how bad that feels. So as a parent, I want to do that better. Now, many parents will see cycles. They'll be like, oh, well, I was treated shitty as a kid. I didn't get anything, so you're not getting anything. Like, you should be grateful I feed you. Mm-hmm. And that's that generational thing that can happen. I feel like it's just about balance. Like, if I am healthy and love myself and I'm doing my best, I can teach that to my children. And as a parent, we can do this. But really teaching them in alignment, there's times where I will give to my children, and I make sure they have clothes and they look decent to go to school and they're given things. But if they're pushing and they're not showing respect, or they're feeling like I need this because that's the popular thing, I do not cater to it. I'm just like, that's not what matters in life. Being popular is not what matters. And I will really talk to them about that. And I feel like these are opportunities, like you're saying, Amnon, it brings up an opportunity for a deeper discussion on what life's really about. And it can give a parent such an opportunity to educate that child to really value life and to value their authenticity and to value what they do have instead of looking at what they don't have. And I feel like our culture completely enables this problem with looking at what you don't have and constantly encouraging us to feel like we need something else. And that's a bigger problem. So as a parent, I feel like we get opportunities to speak on these things. And sometimes it might be tennis shoes that spark that conversation. And the tennis shoes aren't the priority. It's the deeper discussion of, you are enough. You do not need those tennis shoes to be enough. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Awesome. And so these are things that I feel if we really are tuning in, we'll look into why we're giving our kids certain things. Are we doing it because of a status for ourselves, like what we want the world to think of us? A lot of times wounded parents will do so many things about what they're going to look like. Like they're not even thinking about the child really. It's all about what are they going to think of me? If my kid goes to that school, what are my friends going to think? Or if my kid dates that person of another race, what will my family or friends think? And I feel like that's something to check into as a human. If we're in that place where we're trying to control another's journey because we're worried about what we're going to look like, we're out of alignment, because that soul is its own soul. It's free. It's going to express in its own way. I feel with my children, my highest priority and responsibility is to empower them to know who they are and to be able to speak that, to be able to go into public and say, this is who I am, and not worry about fitting in, but really, not think that they can't fit in because they're being who they are, but not to be motivated by that, to really just be authentic. And I've told them, there's times where they've been rejected, kids have been mean to them or bullied them, and I've just talked to them about it. I'm sorry, and I know that doesn't feel good. I've been there too. But you know what? Sometimes spirit doesn't want those people in your life, and if they're treating you like that, let them do that, and you just let them go away. And if they come to you again, stand up to them. You need to speak your truth to them. So there's times where, we have to really teach our kids that they don't really need everybody to approve of them. And if we don't know that, then we're going to teach them that. Because if we don't feel I can be okay for who I am, and I'm worried about what everyone else thinks, we are going to completely mirror that to our children. And they're going to end up perpetuating that issue. Make sense?
Makes 100% sense.
Awesome. Any other comments coming in? Because I'm going to read something.
Nope.
Okay. So this is actually pretty spot on. Again, my book, I love Getting Into the Vortex. It's just amazing. If you want to really understand alignment and vibration, I totally encourage you to read this book every day, just a page a day. And this one's spot on for what we're talking about today. And I opened and just said, what do you have, Spirit? So here it is. When you expect another to succeed without the benefit of your help, you see them as their source sees them. When you believe another needs your help and you attempt to shore up their weakness with your strength, you help them not. When you are in your vortex and in alignment with your broader perspective and you are focused upon other humans, your attention to them is helpful. Whenever you are aligned with the powerful energy of your source, anything you focus upon receives the benefit of your gaze. So basically anything, if I'm somewhere and I'm present and I'm giving my attention to this being, this is love, this is presence, and it's going to benefit from that attention. And that's basically what that's saying. So anyways, when you are in your vortex and in alignment with your inner being, you are then tuned to seeing only success in other humans you're observing. When you are aware of the problems of others, it always means that you are not in your vortex and are not in alignment with the way the source within you is viewing them. So I feel that's just helping us to see if we're just looking at our kids' problems, we're not really in our highest alignment. It's kind of like when we get back to discussions of Christ, how Christ would see the human coming to him in their wholeness, and then that soul would feel that alignment just from being in his presence and would heal. And so imagine if we're looking at our children from their wholeness and we're seeing their capability, their strength. Like when I see my child and he's up to something and I'm like, Hunter, you are a powerful soul. And I literally just said this to him yesterday. I was like, you are a powerful soul and you need to remember who you are. You are so capable. You are a powerful creator. You can create anything. And I'm here to help you remember that. That is not me going, you know what? You need to get your shit together, boy. You got problems. If I'm in that place, then I'm not really in my alignment. Now I've lost alignment and I'm focused on problem with this human, whether it's a child or I have healing clients come in and they're in their problem energy, and I will tune into them vibrationally and I will address the things energetically their angels are bringing up that need to be addressed. But the focus is on their wholeness. The focus is you are powerful. You are a soul that is capable. Look what you've created. Now, what do you choose to create from here? This is when we're in our highest alignment, helping another, a child, a client, a friend. It doesn't matter. Look at their wholeness. Look at their success and help them find that alignment with it. You're helping them remember who they are is basically the highest alignment. Let's see. Da, 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 da. When you are feeling the discomfort from seeing other people in lackful or needy situation, and you decide to help them from your place of discomfort, no lasting value ever occurs. For two important reasons. First, you are not in alignment with the energy of your source, and so you have no real value to give. And second, your attention to their need only amplifies their need. So, boom, right there. That is addressing the homeless situation I was talking about. If I am feeling uncomfortable and discomfort, and so, oh, give them something because they're making me uncomfortable, or I'm feeling guilty, this is never going to serve the bigger picture because we're giving out of alignment. But and I have done this, I have gone to homeless people and I've sat next to them and just said, what happened? And they're just look at me surprised, like, why is she talking to me? And I just will tune in. And I remember this guy in Arizona, his name was Bear. And I tuned into him and I was just like, Bear, what happened to you, man? And he was like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, what happened? Like, what has led you to this point in your life where you're here? And he just was looking at me and really tuning in, and he started to open up and tell me about his life and about losing a wife and a child and how he just felt hopeless and he just felt like life wasn't worth it and he gave up and he lost his balance. And I listened to him and I gave him my presence. And I feel this was the most amazing gift I ever gave a homeless person. And I used to give a lot of them money, and I don't feel like that was what they really needed. And as I sat with this man and I was just listening to his story and tuning into him, and then I looked at him and I was like, what have you always dreamed of being or doing or giving the world? And without hesitation, he said, I have always wanted to have my own art gallery. And I just wanted to have amazing artwork and have an art gallery. And I was like, you know what? When that happens, you let me know, and I'm going to come to your opening for your art gallery. And he was like, well, how will I even know how to find you? And I was like, don't worry about it. Your angels will let me know. And he just, when I walked away, I gave him a hug, and he just kind of like froze when I hugged him, and which made me feel like I wanted to cry because I could feel his sadness when I hugged him, just being empathic. But he had not been shown love. He had not been connected with. He had not been hugged. And what he really needed was that. He didn't need $5. He didn't need me to give him money so he could go and get more drugs or get more alcohol to keep him numb and disconnected from source. What he needed was presence. He needed someone to come along and say, dude, what happened? Do you remember who you are? You're a powerful creator. What are you creating? What do you want to create? Let's focus there. And this is my point. The highest alignment, the highest way we will help our children and the world shift is by focusing on the alignment, by focusing on, hey, remember who you are. You are queens and kings that have come here. You are spiritual beings in a human body, and you might be having a rough time right now, but dude, you're capable of getting yourself out of this. You got yourself here. You created this. What are you learning from it? And what do you want to create now? This is the most powerful way we can help another, not just giving them money to keep them stuck and just walking away quickly because we don't want to look at them. We don't want to tune into them. I just feel like this part just made me think of that. So sorry, I went off on a tangent. But anyways, the last part of this page says, of course, it is a wonderful thing to help others, but you must do it from a position of strength and alignment, which means you must be in alignment with their success as you offer assistance and not in alignment with their problem. It is easy to know if your offer is coming from a place of alignment or resistance because you can always tell by the way you are feeling. When your awareness of the situation makes you uncomfortable and you offer help to make them feel better and to make yourself feel better, you are not in the vortex and you are not truly helping. When you feel an inspired eagerness to offer something because you want to participate in their happy, successful process, your attention to their success harmonizes with the point of view of your source, and the infinite resources of the universe are at your disposal, and that does help tremendously. So I hope that helps you to understand in this perspective from the book The Vortex of what vibration means and how when we're in alignment and we are really tuning in to the highest alignment of any situation, this is how we can really help each other in the most amazing and magical ways. And so I hope that helps some of you listening today. And if you're a parent, I send you love because I know that is not the most appreciated journey all the time. But you know what? know that you chose it for a reason. There's things you're wanting to learn from being a parent. And if you're a child with parents that are not in alignment or that are, as a soul, you chose to go to them to learn from them. So right now, today, your question could be to tune in to the situations you're in right now and ask, what is this about? What is the situation I've created? I have co-created this experience. What is it I'm learning from this? And what is it that I'm ready to shift? And sometimes we need to see the darkness and the things that aren't so good, so that we have the courage to let them fall away. I'm now willing to release anything no longer serving me, so that I can call in and I can manifest and co-create everything that I truly love and desire. And we can do that as parents. We can show that to our children, and we can encourage them by speaking to them honestly and openly and encouraging them to remember the powerful creators they are, because they are not dumb. Just because they're in little bodies does not mean they're ignorant. These children are very intelligent beings, and if we start treating them as such, imagine what will change. Imagine if we started to pay attention to what they really loved and what they really are excited about, and we encourage them in that direction instead of just tell them to do what we think they should from our own misalignment. Just imagine what would shift. So I will leave you on that note. I wish you all a beautiful week, and I hope that you will have amazing, happy parenting experiences, and join us next week and just share any feedback, or you can write to me on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, go find me under Tawnya Love and send me some feedback like, hey, Tawnya, I was listening to what you said and I noticed this shift. I would love to hear from you, and I wish you all the best on all your parenting stuff, because it can be a challenge sometimes. And I feel like all those challenges help us to become more powerful, aware beings. So embrace them as opportunities rather than problems, and watch what happens. I wish you all the best. You know how to find me. If any of you would like to work with me personally as a soul coach, or a remote angelic auric clearing, or an in-person angelic auric clearing if you live in my area in Vancouver, Washington, go to my website and contact me. You can get a hold of me on Facebook or on my website, and I would love to assist you. Have a beautiful and blessed day, everyone, and namaste.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBVI members, The Tawnya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.